Good morning. Happy Tuesday, coaches. Come on in. We are live today in the Build a Six-Figure Coaching Business Facebook group. We're talking about a very important topic, how to balance building your coaching business while you're still in your corporate job, right? That's where a lot of you guys are at in the process. That's where a lot of my clients are at. Right? They're still in that corporate job, but on the side, they're building up their coaching business. And I want to talk about how to make that possible, how to kind of perform that balancing act between the two. So as you are coming in, first things first, I always like to check my audio. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up in the comments. Give me a hashtag live in the comments. It looks like the audio is working, but I'd love to make sure. Give me a hashtag live in the comments. Hey, Denise, big hugs. I'll be reaching out to you later. Thanks for joining us. Mary, what's up, Mary? So good to have you with us. Linda, good to have you with us. Valerie, great to have you with us. Valerie, check your email. If you haven't already, we'll be chatting soon, you and I, Valerie. Hey, Joe, what's going on? All right, so that's good. Let me do a little tag in here before we hit the ground running. As you guys are coming into today's training, how to balance building your coaching business while you are still in some kind of a full-time gig, a corporate job, etc. As you're coming in, I'd love for you to drop into the chat. So today's my birthday. Today is my birthday today. After this Facebook Live, I will be celebrating and probably taking a little nap, having a little downtime, and then doing a little celebrating this evening. And I thought it would be fun if y'all think about your own upcoming birthdays, even if they already happened this year. And I want you to drop into the chat, what is, if you could give yourself one birthday present when it came to your coaching business, what would that birthday present be? Would it be something tangible? Would it be an outcome? Would it be a result? Would it be something you want to achieve? Would it be somebody you want to hire? So since we're talking birthdays today, drop into the chat, think about your birthday. What is one thing related to your coaching business that if you could give yourself the best birthday gift ever related to your coaching business, what would that gift be? Drop it in the chat. Okay, as you're doing that, I'm going to make sure everybody is tagged so they know where to find this live. And I think we are then good to go. Thank you, Valerie. Yes, Valerie, definitely. And Valerie, check your spam too, just in case. Might have went into your spam. Thank you, Denise. Big hugs. Big hugs to Denise. Okay, cool. So let's hit the ground running. Again, as you're coming in, give me a hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, which I know, the topic of working a corporate job, many of you are watching this in replay. Give me a hashtag replay. Give me a hashtag live if you're here live. As you're doing that, I see my poor little cat is trapped in the office with me. I'm going to text my man here and tell him to come let her out. She's ever so innocently looking up at the door. Let her out of office. I just text him when I need cat transfer requested. Thank you, Ryan. All right, let's get going here. How to balance building your coaching business while you are still at that gosh darn corporate job, right? We're going to talk about that today. For those of you who haven't met me yet, and I've noticed we have a lot of newcomers coming into the Facebook group. I think at this point we're over just about 3,500, something like that in the Facebook group. So for those of you who haven't met me yet, maybe it's your first time attending one of my lives. My name is Betty Kempa. I'm a business coach for coaches. I like to call myself a coach-sultant. I'm part coach, part consultant, right? Depends on the work we're doing as it comes to building your coaching business. I'm a 3-time member of the Forbes Coaches Council. I am an IPEC graduate. If we have any other IPECians with us today, I'd love for you to drop into the chat, IPEC. Always nice to see and hear any fellow IPECians. For those of you who wonder, what the heck is an IPECian? This is just one of the many places you can get certified as a coach. What else about me? I was ranked one of the top coaches in Denver, and then again in Tampa by Influence Digest. And then recently, at the end of last year, I was listed as one of the top business coaches for coaches to follow by Life Coach magazine. Last but not least, I am the proud founder of the Corporate to Six-Figure Coach Academy. That is my method. That is my program where I help corporate renegades ditch the 9-to-5 and repackage their genius into a six-figure coaching business. Now, as always, if you'd like additional coaching support with your business, check it out. There's a link in the copy of this post. You can apply for a call with me so that I can learn more about your business challenges and goals. You can ask me any questions. We can see if you're a fit for one of my programs, right? The Academy is my main program, but I've got a couple other programs as well. But ultimately, when we hop onto a call, you will leave that call with three things. One, we're going to do a deep dive to uncover why have you not achieved your goals yet? What's standing in your way? So I'm going to be doing a gap analysis with you. Two, you'll leave that call learning what are the steps to take to achieve my business goals. I'm going to give you those high-level steps. And three, you're going to understand what is the Corporate to Coach Academy? What does it entail? Am I a good fit for the program, right? I'm very transparent. Some people are a fit, some are not. I will let you know one way or the other. Or perhaps am I a better fit for a different program that I offer, right? So I'll give you a rundown of program options and prices, but no pressure, right? This call is meant to be informative, right? Knowledge is power. Now, before we get on to today's topic, I do have a very, very important announcement to share. I'm very excited. This is the first time sharing this announcement. Just checking the chat real quick. I know Valerie's from IPEC. What's up, Valerie? Dawn, another IPECian. What's up, Brandon? Thanks for watching with us. Dawn is watching live. Thank you, Dawn, for the birthday well wishes. Good stuff, good stuff. Okay, so quick announcement before we get started. And this is, I haven't done this for 6 months, maybe even a little bit over 6 months. So it is a really important announcement to share with you guys in terms of value that I hope each and every one of you will take me up on here. So this is the hottest workshop of the year. It is a free week-long workshop. It is called the 3-Step Coaching Client Acquisition System. So it is meant to be simple, right? There are 3 steps to acquire clients. It is meant to be a system. We are not just throwing spaghetti at the wall. So this is a week-long workshop where I'm going to teach you what are the 3 steps to take where you can acquire clients before, and here's the key, here's what's really cool about the workshop. You're going to learn how to implement this very simple 3-step client acquisition system. One, without blowing your cover at your corporate job. I know a lot of you guys are, I can't blow my cover. I have to do things a certain way. I get it. So I'll teach you how to do that. That's one. Two, you're going to learn how to implement this system pre-launch, meaning you don't need a website for this system to work. You don't need to have an official launch yet for this system to work. This is a system where right during the workshop itself, I have had people show up for the workshop and get clients, right? So whether it's during the workshop or right after, as you start to implement, you are able to start getting clients. Pre-launch, there's no like, oh, I got to have A, B, and C. And the third thing that you'll get out of this workshop is you will learn how to mitigate risk by creating enough coaching income to allow you to make the transition out of corporate when you are ready, all right? So this workshop is for coaches who want to start finding and landing clients while they're still at their corporate job, right? Which you guys should be doing. That's part of validating the market, right? You want to get to a point where you're getting enough funds, finances coming in from your coaching business that it equals or exceeds your corporate job on a monthly basis, so you can feel more confidence in taking that leap, right? We're building out a blueprint. And we're setting you up for a smooth corporate to coach transition later on. So again, there's a link to register in the chat. There's a link to register well, I should say in the copy of this video, but I'm also going to drop it right now into the chat if I can. Drop it into the chat as well. Let's see if this works. Hopefully that worked. So I dropped 2 links into the chat. I dropped a link for you to apply or to register for the free workshop. And then there's another link if you want to book a call with me. Okay, so I just dropped those into the comments. Hopefully that works. If you don't see them showing up in the comments, check the copy that goes with this video. Now, what will you learn from this upcoming workshop? And again, like I said, I haven't run a workshop for 6 months. So this is not something that I'm doing like every other month, every month, right? I haven't done this for 6 months. So if this is something you want to learn, make sure you jump on board, bring a friend, etc. In order to be able to join, you have to register. Really important. And the link to register is in the copy with this video. So what will you learn? Couple things you'll learn: how to leverage your inner circle, the people that already know, like, and trust you, in a natural, authentic, and service-driven way to acquire your first set of clients. No, that does not mean we're selling to your inner circle, but I'm going to be teaching you how to get referrals, connections, introductions, etc. from the people you already know. You'd be surprised how well this works. You will also learn how market research mastery will lead you to client acquisition. So I'm going to be talking during the workshop about market research and how that is an organic flow, an organic funnel into client acquisition. I'll be teaching you where to find your perfect prospects. Really special, I'll be teaching you the art of turning a complimentary coaching call into a client. That's something, raise your hand, put it in the chat. If you've ever done a complimentary coaching call with somebody and you think to yourself, man, that'd be a good client, but you're not quite sure how to make that transition conversationally to, we had a great complimentary coaching call and now I want to transition into, basically talking to you about working with me, right? Drop into the chat if that's ever been a challenge for you. We'll be covering that. I'll be giving you scripts, templates, all the good stuff. I'll be talking about 5 mistakes coaches make that prevent them from replacing their corporate income with coaching business. And we'll be doing some interviews. I'll be bringing forth some of my clients and doing interviews so you can hear from the people that I've had in my program, that we're basically going to pull back the curtains and do a case study, do an interview. You guys can ask them questions so you can learn from the people that are actually doing it. Right? My clients that are making back-to-back 14K months, that have achieved a 6-figure year, right? Et cetera, you'll have the chance to ask them questions to learn how did they do it, right? Learn from some of the people that have done it before you. So mark your calendars, really important. It's coming up here, Monday, March 10th. Mark your calendar, mark your calendar. Monday, March 10th, type that into the chat so that I know you guys are hearing me. Monday, March 10th, mark your calendar. It's going to be March 10th through Friday, March 14th. So it's going to be that week, Monday through Friday, March 10th through March 14th. It's going to be in the evening hours after work. So don't worry if you're like, well, Patty, I'm working. I know we're going to be running it in the evening hours after work. We'll take the weekend off, and then we'll have a couple bonus sessions the following Monday, March 17th, and Tuesday, March 18th, once again, in the evening hours after work. So again, check the links in the chat. You have to register to get the information, it's going to be on Zoom, to get the Zoom link to be able to attend. Now, side note, one last thing before we jump into today's topic. What if I attended before? What if you've attended in the past? Couple things. One, please, spread, pay it forward, spread the word, share the registration link with other coaches who could get some use out of a free week-long, not just training, but I'm going to be doing hot seats, Q&A, right? Where people are caught or feeling challenged. We'll be doing it on Zoom. So share that registration link with others. But here's the other thing I will say. If you've attended in the past, I highly recommend you attend again. Okay, this is like a 2025 reset. All right, this material in this workshop has been updated with the latest trends and shifts in the market that require you knowing in order to attract clients. What worked last year ain't gonna cut it this year. with the trends in the market and all the different things that are happening out there in the blue sky, right? We have to be able to shift with what's happening in the market. So please, if you've attended again, if you've attended in the past, attend again so you can learn this updated material to account for new trends in the market. Also, you can always come and enjoy some hot seat coaching. Any problems or challenges you had last year, I'm sure you have new challenges this year. So every single workshop, I'll be doing hot seat. Bring me your questions. Even if they don't have anything to do with the topic of the worksheet, I will be doing hot seat. So, that's essentially free coaching. And again, coaches, we are always learning. We are always learning. Business is not a one and done. Business is not a one and done. This is one of those things I would encourage you to attend more than once, right? Because you're going to start to have things stick and be able to implement that perhaps you didn't last time. All right. If you have any questions about the workshop, feel free to drop them in the chat, or feel free to shoot me a DM and I'm happy to answer, or post them in the Facebook group, however you want to get a hold of me. All right. And also let me know, when you see me looking down, I'm checking my phone to make sure things work. Let me know if somebody could check that link for registration. Let me know that it works. If somebody could check that link and just put in the chat, it works. That would be so appreciated. All right, let's get on to today's topic, how to balance building your coaching business while still at your corporate job. Now, as a reminder, I have my handy dandy little whiteboard behind me. Why? Because every time I do one of these Facebook Live trainings, I want you guys to understand where this training topic is within the scope of the signature methodology that I teach, right? So let me make this, here we go. So typically I say the 5 C's of building a 6-figure coaching business, but in fact, I've extended it to the 6 C's of building a 6-figure coaching business. And what I've added is this guy right here, right? Step 1 is the corporate to coach transition blueprint, right? You can have all the knowledge in the world about how to build a coaching business. And there's a lot of business coaches out there that will, say, here's how to make money. Here's how to build a business. But you also have to learn how to make a smooth, efficient, risk-averse, etc. transition. You need a transition blueprint from corporate to coach, right? This involves all sorts of things, finances, right? It involves time management, etc., etc., etc. So today, very high level, I'm going to be talking about a topic within this pillar, corporate to coach transition blueprint, right? I'm going to be sharing some kind of high level topics. Now, in my academy, this is a full-on module. In the academy, this is a full-on module where you learn all the steps to take to make that transition. But today, I want to kind of get you guys started. I want to get you guys thinking about what it'll take to make that transition. And again, just as a quick reminder here, if you're thinking, okay, Betty, I'm at ground zero. How do I make that transition from corporate to coach, right? First, we set up and it's customized to you. It depends on the person. This is why I work with each of my clients on this process. Corporate to coach transition blueprint, that's first. Then we choose your niche, we nail your messaging, and we identify what your positioning in the market needs to be. So don't be afraid of competitors. It's all about positioning. So choose your niche, nail your messaging, and identify your positioning. Part 3 is create a killer coaching package. Part 4 is curtains up, launch your brand, right? All the different things that go into a brand launch. And it is much more than just a website. It's not just, hey, my website's live. It's much more than that. The client attraction system. Again, where a lot of entrepreneurs or coaches struggle is that there's so many different ways to attract clients, and people get overwhelmed, or they try too many things, or they're like throwing spaghetti at the wall, or they don't know what metrics to measure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? We have created a proven system to attract clients. Some of it's automated, some of it can be outsourced, some of it has to be you, right? So that's a big one. And last but not least, pillar 6 is close the deal, right? You have to learn how to be confident in speaking to somebody and having a smooth discovery call, right? Moving a lead from cold to close. And that's in an authentic and ethical and non-pushy way. All right, all the things. So those are the 6 pillars. And today we're going to take a bite out of pillar 1, the corporate to coach transition blueprint. Okay, you move this back a little bit and we're gonna jump right in. Now, if you have any questions on what I'm teaching today, please, by all means, don't make me the talking head, right? I go live. I could just record these and send them out. I'm live because I want to answer your questions. So if you have any questions on your specific situation, well, Betty, this is what I'm dealing with. This is my challenge. Now's the time, right? Drop your questions into the chat. I'll be looking at my mobile device to see the comments. It's just a little bit easier that way. All right, you with me? Drop me an emoji if you're still with me. Drop me an emoji if you're still with me. I know some people have told me they kind of listen to this like a podcast on their way to work. So obviously, if you're driving, do not drop me an emoji. But if you're by your desk or your phone, give me some kind of an emoji to let me know you're tracking with me, right? You're with me. You don't have any questions yet. All right. So here's the main thing I want to impress upon you guys in today's Facebook Live. Okay. So please, I'm going to kind of give you the points where I want you to really lean in. And if you're a note taker like me, any note takers here? Anybody a note? I'm one of those crazy note takers. I know there's all these automated systems now that will record our notes for us. But I'm a crazy note taker. Part of, how do I want to say it? Sponging in information for me. That's the kind of learner I am. I love taking notes. Okay, Emily is with us. Cool, Emily. Joe's with us. Love it. Good stuff, guys. All right, so here's the main thing I want to impress upon you guys. So take this down, write this down, or type this out. Do not wait until you are out of your corporate job to start working on your coaching business. If there was one thing I would impress upon you before you hop off today's training, please don't wait. Please don't wait to start working on your coaching business till you're out of your corporate job. I want you to start before you feel ready. Start before you feel ready. There is a lot you can and should get done when it comes to standing up your coaching business while you're still at your corporate job, right? This is what I've done. This is what I teach my clients to do. Now, you can do things such as getting the coaching business started. You can start bringing in clients while you're still at your corporate job if you want to. But the idea here is we want this to be a very smooth transition out of corporate and into coaching. We don't want it to be this really kind of jarring, oh, I'm done with the corporate job, I got to start from ground zero, right? The way that I teach is that by the time you're done with your corporate job, your business is already up and running on the side. It's already up and running in the side. So you can just kind of take a step and slide into it. This should not be a jarring, like, oh, the corporate job is done, I got to start from square one. That's no good. Too much stress. All right. So the first thing I want you guys to take note of, action item 1, schedule time to work on your coaching business each week. Easier said than done. I know. But write this down. Schedule time to work on your coaching business each week. Okay. Heidi Grant Halverson, a professor at Columbia University, had a great quote. I wrote this down. And she said, deciding in advance when and where you will take specific actions to reach your goal can double or triple your chances of success. That's pretty wild, right? For the people in the back, deciding in advance when and where you will take specific actions to reach your goal can double or triple your chances for success. So let's break apart that quote for a second here. First, I want to talk about when. First, I want to talk about when. Now, here's the next thing. If you're going to write something down, I've heard this from my coaches before. I'm passing it on to you. You've probably heard this before. You may or may not have. If you don't schedule it, it isn't real. If you don't schedule it, say it with me, it isn't real. Okay? Decide when you will consistently work on your coaching business each week. I'm talking time blocks, people, right? How many of us have a long to-do list when it comes to our coaching business? A long to-do list. Oh, I want to choose a niche. I want to build a package. I got to get the website, right? I got to do this. I got to do that. I want a logo. Drop it in the comments here if you've got a long to-do list in your mind. You're like, ooh, I know there's a lot I got to do when it comes to building my coaching business, right? A to-do list doesn't mean anything until, and I'm not anti-to-do list. I have a to-do list too, okay? But the key is I look at my list and I'm going to pluck out the specific projects and I'm going to place them in my designated time block to work on my coaching business each week. Make sense? So I'm not going to let all my to-dos live on a list. I'm going to have designated time blocks on the calendar I use. Whatever calendar you use. If you use a hard copy calendar, great. For me, I use Acuity. If you use Google Calendar, whatever calendar you use, you want to have a consistent time block. This is when I'm going to work on my coaching business. But here's key. I don't want you to sit down for that time block. Okay, it's 6 p.m. on a Thursday. I'm going to work 6 to 8 on my coaching business. In no universe should you sit down and wonder, well, what should I do? What do I work on today? And then you pull out your to-do list and you're like, well, geez, I've got like 30 things here. I don't know. Which is the most ROI? Where do I start? I'm overwhelmed. Paralysis analysis. Anybody ever get the paralysis analysis with all the things, right? That's where the business coach comes in. So what I want you to do is take, right? And this is where we have to kind of guesstimate, right? If I have a 2-hour time block, I'm going to work on my coaching business. Which projects am I going to try to get done in that time? And I'm going to input them into my time block. Because when I sit down to work on my business, there should be no scrambling about, well, where do I start? I should know. Oh, I'm starting here. Okay, makes sense? So the first thing I want you all to do today, action item, decide when, and some of you may have already done this, decide when you will consistently work on your coaching business each week. And this is going to differ for all of us, right? It depends. It depends if you have a full-time job, if you have a part-time job, right? So some of us in corporate know that 9 to 5 is make-believe, right? It's more like 8 to 7 sometimes. But I want you all to decide when you will work on your coaching business each week, right? And I'm just making this up, right? Is it going to be 6 to 8 p.m. on certain nights of the week? Or are you an evening person? I'm an evening person. Are you an early bird? Right? I know Denise said is an early bird, right? So if you're an early bird, are you going to work on your coaching business 5 to 7 a.m. each morning? Right? Or are you a weekend warrior? Right? Okay, I can't do during the week. It's too much going on with my job. So Saturdays, I'm going to do a block of time. And then Sundays I'll have for myself. Right? And then once you've decided, are you an night owl? Are you a morning? Are you an early bird? Or are you a weekend warrior? And put that into the chat right now. Let's claim that. When do you want to work on your coaching business? Morning, evenings, or weekends? And I could even add a fourth, which is, it's going to sound crazy, but lunch hour. I know some of you are like, girl, I don't have a lunch hour. I get it, right? But depending on the job, right, you could say, you know what? I'm going to take my lunch break and do XYZ. So drop it into the chat. Are you planning on time blocking as in the mornings, during the lunch hour, or in the evenings, or are you a weekend warrior? Drop into the chat. Which one are you? Which one are you? Drop that into the chat. What's up, Zoe? Drop it into the chat. Claim it. And I would say I used to be a weekend warrior when I was working my corporate job. I would do some evening work as well. And now, you know, I've officially transitioned out of corporate for many years now. I make it a point to not work on the weekends, right? But that had to happen over time. So I want you to, depending on what you are, morning, lunch hour, evening, or weekend warrior, next I want you to decide how many hours per week do I want to devote to working on my coaching business? And that's something you have to decide based on your bandwidth, based on your energy, based on your other commitments, right? I think it would be great if at minimum you could devote 4 hours a week. I think that would be great, but you have to make that decision, okay? So everybody now, action item, action item. I want you to think, what days of the week and what time blocks will you be reserving for working on your coaching business? And I want you to put that directly into whatever calendar you use. And furthermore, I want you to treat that time as sacred. Treat the time as sacred. This is not time you're going to, oh, it's just that. Let me, schedule over this, a doctor's appointment. Let me schedule over this, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to treat this time as sacred. Treat this time as sacred. All right. Dawn's an early bird. Yes, I'm trying to become one. Today I was an early bird. I felt good about that. I got up before 5 a.m. That's must be a birthday thing. Next, let's talk about where you're going to get the work done. That's the other part of the quote. She talks about when and where. So where will you be working on your coaching business? Where will you do this? Drop into the chat. When it comes to your coaching business, where do you plan to be working on your coaching business? Do you have a home office like me, right? This is my little sphere. This is my place. This is where I'm going to be working on my coaching business. Will you maybe go to a coffee shop, a library, right? If you're doing it on the lunch hour. I knew a coach that did, and I'm just saying, where there's a will, there's a way. I knew a coach that would do lunch hours, and she would literally go sit out in her car and make business calls, during lunch hour in her car. And I've a couple times, I didn't do it all the time, but when I had to, I would do something similar. But again, where will you be working on your coaching business? Where is going to be your sacred space? Drop that into the chat. Dawn's got the basement. Great. Right? That's a nice private place. That's a nice private place. You can shut the door. The next thing I want you to think about, write this down, proactively plan for what could get in your way. Proactively plan for what could get in your way. The kids, the spouse, the husband, the wife, your boss, right? Having to work late, right? Maybe you say, I'm going to work on my business 6 to 8, and then you keep having to work late. So drop into the chat, what could proactively plan? What could potentially get in your way? If we think about this and proactively plan for it, we'll be in a better position if it should happen. Drop into the chat, what could potentially get in your way? What could potentially get in your way? All right. And then I want you to proactively plan, right? If this happens, then what will I do? Okay. Drop into the chat, what could potentially get in your way of working on your coaching business in a typical work week? So whatever your time slot is, you're like, oh, I'm going to do Saturday, 12 to 4. Or you're like, oh, I'm going to do mornings before work. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm going to do 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Right? Once you pick your time blocks, what could proactively get in your way? And more importantly, how will you proactively plan for that potential thing that could get in your way? Now, if anybody at this point has a question, it's like, Betty, I don't really know what to do if this thing got in my way. Now's the time. We're live, right? That's why on my birthday, I'm here live with y'all, is so that I can answer your questions. So if you're in your head, or if you're watching the replay and you're thinking, oh, this is the thing I think will get in my way, put it out there. Let me know. What is it? And I want you to take a guess at how you could proactively plan for that. And I'm happy to, add my thoughts too. The next thing I want you to write it down, is get a mentor to guide you. Get a mentor to guide you. There is no point in waking up, right? For you early birds, I'm just using you guys as an example. There's no point waking up at 5 a.m. to work on your coaching business if you don't know what to work on, right? Let's say you do this for a month, 2 months, and you're like, Betty, I did what you told me to. I time blocked. I picked a sacred space. I proactively planned, right? I went and talked to my husband. I asked him to watch the kids, to take them out of the house while I focused on my work. I did all the things, but Betty, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere, right? This is why you need a mentor, right? You don't want to do all this work, but you're not getting the ROI that you expected to get. You're not pulling the right levers because you don't know what you don't know, right? It's imperative you're working on the right stuff to move the needle. It pains me. Sip of water. Everybody have a little water break. Ryan keeps reminding me, my partner, to chug water each day. I don't want you to, I'll use an example. Spend a month, say, working on your website, right? Oh, I'm working on it. And then you come to find out, and I've seen this happen before, right? People will come to me and say, here's my website, Betty. I spent months on this. Can you give me feedback? Right? And then I look at it and I find out, oh, right? You aren't attracting clients because the messaging and the niche isn't clear. Or maybe the copy falls flat, right? I'm a copy queen. I was in communications for a decade in the corporate world. If your copy falls flat, you're not going to be attracting the right clients. Is the design off, right? We got to look at the design. The lead magnet, right? Something you offer in exchange for an email address, right? Is your lead magnet on your website specific enough that it's talking to your ideal client avatar's pain points, right? So I know I might be speaking Latin to some of you here, but here's my point. The list goes on and on and on. I don't want y'all to get so far along in investing time and energy in building your business, but you haven't worked on the right things or in the right order, or we got to backtrack, or we got to redo. You see what I'm saying? It's important that you do follow the 6 C's of building your coaching business, right? We talked about that in the beginning of the training today. This is my methodology. This is what I teach in the Corporate to Six-Figure Coach Academy. And again, there's, bettykempa.com. You can check it out and see on the services page, right? I really blow out each of those steps. But my point is here, don't work in a bubble. And I will tell you from experience, that is something I never did, right? From the second I was certified, even before I got certified, I started working with a business coach, right? And for me, I will say not working with a business coach is the riskiest thing I could do. That's the riskiest thing I could do, because then I'm spending time and money on things that I don't know. Are they going to pan out? I have no idea, right? I'm listening to a million podcasts, a million freebies, right? At some point, you need to pick an expert, drink their Kool-Aid, follow their formula, all right? Write this down. The next thing I want you guys to do when it comes to making that transition from corporate to coach and finding, again, the topic today is finding balance, balance. And again, back to having a mentor. What does a mentor do? A mentor saves you time and money. That's what a mentor does. A mentor saves you time and money. That's the point of a mentor. Something that yourself might have taken you months to work on, a mentor comes along and says, yeah, I got a template. Here, let me help you customize that for your niche, right? That's the point of, what does having a business mentor have to do with finding balance? They save you time and energy. Next thing I want you to write down is learn to say no. Learn to say no. Hey, Erica, what's up, lady? Lindsay, what's going on? Thanks for watching. Learn to say no. Please write that down. You have got to give yourself permission to stop trying to do it all. Stop saying yes to everyone and everything. Everything you say yes to means that you are saying no to something else. I want you to think about this as it pertains to your corporate job, your personal life, and your coaching business. If you want to say yes to your coaching business, what else do you need to say no to? Please drop that into the chat. I want you to step up, drop it into the chat. Think about it. When it comes to building your coaching business, if you want to say yes to your coaching business, and we're talking about how to find balance today, balance between your full-time job and building your business. If you want to say yes to building your coaching business, what else do you need to say no to? Give me an example in the comments. It could be the smallest thing. It could be something in your personal life. It could be something in your work life, right? We're coaches too, so we're known for saying yes, yes, yes. We give, which is okay to an extent. So I want you guys to drop into the comments, what do you need to say no to? And you kind of know in your heart, you're like, that's something I really need to say no to. Identify the opportunity cost of saying yes. Identify the opportunity cost of saying yes, right? So a couple things you can ask yourself when either your corporate job or something in your personal life is asking, right? One thing you can, when you're deciding, do I say yes or no? As selfish as this may sound, and I know none of you are selfish, you guys are coaches, right? You guys are known for giving and giving and giving, serving, which is good and beautiful. But at a certain point, right, you got to put the mask on yourself. You guys have heard that before, or you can't help all the other people in your life that are depending on you. So when something comes up and you're like, do I say yes or do I say no? What's in it for me? What's in it for you? Before you quickly agree, and sometimes, and you guys, I even have this habit. Yes, 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 right? All the time. So you got to stop yourself. And before you quickly agree to the next request or the next opportunity that comes your way, ask questions to uncover the full commitment required. If your manager at work asks you to take on another project while your plate is full, assess if saying yes would truly benefit you, right? And I know some of you are like, girl, I'm not saying no to my manager, I'm going to get fired. There are ways, right, to communicate with your boss at work or your colleagues in a way that's not going to get you fired, right? But you're still having boundaries. And that's part of what we teach in the academy. So you got to ask, what's in it for me? You got to ask, do I have the bandwidth, right? Somebody asks you something, maybe in your personal life. Do I have the bandwidth? We often underestimate how long it will take to complete a task. This is known as something called the planning fallacy, right? It's a cognitive bias that leads us to consistently underestimate timelines, despite knowing that similar tasks have taken longer in the past, right? And this is just not a coach thing, entrepreneur. This is a people thing, right? Humans, people, we tend to run into unexpected obstacles, delays, interruptions. Lord knows, when I was working at corporate, not from home, but at the corporate, building, interruptions. So to limit the effects of this mental error, And again, this, just to put this in layman's terms, when I'm telling you guys, let's say you have 2-hour time block to work on your coaching business, and you're deciding what task am I going to do in that time. My recommendation is to add a buffer of about 20% to whatever you think the time is that is required to get that thing done. So if you determine that a project is important enough for you to participate in, ask your manager, your director, whoever, if your other priorities can be juggled or offloaded to accommodate the time you will need to complete their request. Okay? So we're not saying no, right? We're not saying yes, bye. We're having a discussion about, okay, this is what's on my plate. Can we shift around the priorities, the deadlines? Can I offload this to another team member, etc.? And the last thing, when you're trying to decide whether to say yes or no to something in your personal or your corporate life, what will I have to give up to take this on? And that, my friends, is an opportunity cost. There is always an opportunity cost. In your corporate job, you need to be asking yourself questions like, and think about this, write this down, y'all, as you go into your corporate job today or tomorrow, or for those of you watching the replay, when your boss or a colleague gives you something new, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, am I the only person who can do this? Okay, 1, am I the only person who can do this? 2, and we're talking about if somebody gives you something to do in your corporate job. Again, the topic today is how to balance building a coaching business and working a full-time corporate job. So what I'm telling you guys is, if you say yes to every single thing in your corporate gig, some's got to give, right? So you got to ask yourself, when something new is put on your plate, am I the only person who can do this? Will this project move me closer to achieving my top priorities and longer-term goals, right? And if I don't do this, will it matter in a week, a month, or a year from now? If I don't do this, is it going to matter in a week, a month, or a year from now? If you answer any of these questions in the negative, a strategic no may be in order. Okay, these are meant to be quite, instead of just the quick yes, yes, yes that we all tend to do, right? We're going to strategically decide when it comes to, if you don't want to go into burnout, if you want to be able to balance building a business and being in your corporate job, we have to be strategic about our yeses and our nos. Now, suppose somebody other than your boss, this happens at a corporate job sometimes, suppose somebody other than your boss at your corporate job asks you to take on a new project, right? A colleague. You could, and I'm just giving you examples, okay? You could politely decline. So they ask you to do this thing. You go through the list, right? Am I the only person who can do this? Is the project going to move me closer to achieving my long-term goals? If I don't do this, isn't it going to matter in a week, month, or a year, right? Opportunity cost, if I say yes to this new project at corporate that's going to keep me at work till 8 or 9, right? There's an opportunity cost. I say yes to this, then I'm saying no to working on my coaching business, right? So you could politely decline, and you could say, I'm just, giving you guys examples. Hey, Joanne, thank you so much for thinking of me for this interesting project, but unfortunately, I am at capacity right now. Okay? You can say it with a smile, right? You can say it with a smile. Hey, Joanne, thank you so much. I appreciate you thinking of me for this interesting project. Unfortunately, I am at capacity right now, okay? Example. Or let's say your manager comes to you, makes a request. They have an unrealistic deadline, right? And shoot, I'm supposed to be working on my coaching business this evening. And this thing, I'm going to have to stay here till 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to have to get here tomorrow morning at 6, right? Super unrealistic deadline. You might counter by saying to your manager, I'm happy to help. So we're not saying no, right? I'm happy to help, but given my other work commitments, I won't be able to look at this until next week. Does that work for you? And if it doesn't, how can we juggle my other priorities? Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. Hey, manager, I'm happy. So it's kind of like saying yes and, right? Hey, I'm happy. I'm happy to help with this thing. But given my other work commitments, right? It's nice to have kind of a lineup of my projects spreadsheet here. Given my other work commitments, I'm not able to look at this thing until next week. Hey, does that work for you? Right? Lean in with curiosity. If not, how can we juggle some of these other priorities? Right? And you work with your leader to say, what can we, if this is like a deadline 911, right? Putting out a fire, what can we shift down the priority list? Okay. Netflix on 10, John says. Yeah. All right. Next, I want to think you guys to think about as well. So there's different things that can get in the way of building the coaching business, right? When it comes to balance, it's kind of like the tree, it's a triangle, right? I want to come up with a cool name like a tripod. It's a triangle. It's the coaching business, it's your personal life, and it's your corporate job, right? It's a triangle. So thinking about your personal life and all the things you say yes to in your personal life, right? What can you say? And drop it into the chat, y'all. Drop it into the chat. What do you have to say no to in your personal life in order to say yes to your coaching business? I'll give you some examples. No to spending hours watching TV or getting sucked into the comparison sinkhole of social media, doom scrolling, right? You can say no to any and all time sucks, energy sucks, or any non-essentials. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm saying, oh, you can never be on social media or watch TV. I'm gonna watch TV. Okay, I like to watch my Netflix. I like to watch my shows, right? But I'm just saying, right? I plan for that though. I plan for that. I know when my shows are on, and that's part of my reward for the day of a hard day's work. I'm planning for that. Right? It's like if you're a weekend warrior and Saturday 2 to 4 you're supposed to work on your coaching business and you're just doom scrolling on Instagram, right? We're not serving ourselves. We're sabotaging ourselves. So saying no is going to give you more time and space to do the deep and important work that you were born to do. Okay? This isn't just, I don't know what I want to think of saying here, just a regular job. Coaching is what y'all here were born to do. This is your calling. Put into the chat if coaching is your calling. Is coaching your calling? Saying no gives you more time and space to do the deep work and important work that you were born to do. It gives you more breathing room. It gives you more white space. It gives you more freedom. It gives you more energy to devote to your coaching business. And by the way, you can say no with grace and kindness. Marie Forleo, for those of you who are familiar with her, she had a great way of saying no in the personal realm, right? For somebody in your personal life, right? A neighbor or whatever, right? Somebody in your personal life is asking you to do this extra time commitment. Again, I'm just giving you guys examples of what this sounds like. Hey, Diane, thank you so much for thinking of me. While it's not something I'd like to do, please know how honored I am just to be asked. Right? Or you could say, hey, Diane, I'd just rather not, but thank you so much for thinking of me. And some of you would say, no is a full sentence, right? Last but not least here, I want to talk about getting more time efficient at your corporate job so it doesn't spill into your coaching time. You've got to get more efficient in your corporate job so it doesn't spill into your coaching time, okay? When you're at your corporate gig, make a list. So this is an action item. Write this down. Action item. Make a list of everything you do at your corporate job. I'm not talking about like a resume. I'm talking about the actual stuff. Go into work today or tomorrow, and I want you to I mean, I don't care, a piece of notebook paper. Every time you do something, I was in the XYZ meeting for an hour. I had a phone call out of the blue, 15 minutes. I had to answer these emails, took me 30 minutes. Somebody interrupted me and asked me about a question, 10 minutes. I really want you to audit everything you do day to day at your corporate job. Okay, make a list from the smallest things, which are usually the biggest time wasters, and monitor how you spend your time for an entire week, right? Everything from meetings, etc. Now, next to each item on your list, after a week, go through and look for items that you could either automate, delegate, eliminate, outsource, or streamline. Okay, or keep, right? Some of those things you're like, yep, that's my job, got to keep it. But I guarantee you, if you audit yourself, this is a part of the academy, right? We have an exercise. I have an actual tracking audit spreadsheet we do to audit both your corporate job time and your personal time. So you guys can trim the fat, right? You can decide, what can I automate, delegate, eliminate, outsource, or streamline, right? Automate is just like it sounds, right? There's certain systems you can use to automate what you're doing each day. Delegating, right? Is there something you're doing that you can delegate to a team member? And sometimes you can even delegate it to somebody else parallel to you, right? A colleague. Maybe it's not in your scope. Eliminate. I love this one, right? And you can talk to your boss for approval. You can make a case to them of the things you want to eliminate. Of course, the case is going to be, you're going to get better results by eliminating the things that don't get results. What am I doing that's a time waster, doesn't need to be done, and my boss isn't going to miss it if I stop doing it? That one is wild, right? I work in the corporate. I remember I used to have a team, and when I really started to dig in with my team to understand why some of them were getting results, some weren't, I noticed some would spend hours doing certain things that, as their boss, that didn't matter to me. It wasn't getting us results, right? So what are you doing that your boss is not going to miss it if you stop doing it? Outsourcing. Can you hire an outside contractor to do something? If your company has a budget for that, make a case for your boss. And streamlining. This is a big one too. What am I doing that could simply be done more efficiently in fewer steps, right? Really, really important. So I hope you guys have gotten a lot of kind of light bulb moments today. Drop into the chat. What's your takeaway? What is your takeaway from today's training? What's your takeaway? Drop that into the chat. If you're watching it live, give me your takeaway. If you're watching the replay, give me your takeaway. What's your takeaway? And I think next week I'd like to kind of talk through with you guys. There are 5 options in terms of your current job. There are 5 different options. I know there's at least 4. There might be 5. 4 to 5 options when it comes to your current job of, do I stay? Do I go? Do I try to get my work done here more efficiently? Do I go to a part-time job? Right? How can I balance these two? There are various options after you've done the audit to determine, what do I do next? Okay, I think I want to continue that into next week's Facebook Live. All right, if you have any questions based on what we talked about in the chat, feel free to drop them in. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. And we will continue this training next week. The 4 to 5 options you have when it comes to your current job, in terms of, you need to pick an option. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I get a part-time? Right? People are always trying to figure out what's the best option when it comes to how to handle your corporate job while you're building your coaching business. We're going to talk about what those options are and how you can choose which option makes the most sense to you next week. All right, y'all. Reminder quick, be sure to register for the free upcoming workshop, 3-step client attraction system workshop. The link to register is in the copy next to this video and in the chat in the comments section. And if you are ready to take your business to the next level, to learn the 6 C's of building a 6-figure coaching business, and to get some extra help doing it, make sure you book a call with me, and we'll connect via Zoom and talk about what are the challenges standing in your way. We'll identify the gap, and we'll talk about what next steps you need to do to move forward and what support from us could look like. All right, y'all, have a wonderful, wonderful week. And again, drop into the comments, what was your biggest takeaway from today's lesson? All right, guys, talk to you next week. Have a good one.